Donald Trump is crashing out in real time, fam. Real time. All of this for Israel. And it is very clear that even some of the Trump supporters and defenders are not defending him on this. When it comes to war with Iran, it is clear that even some of the most vocal MAGA peeps are against Americans going to war with Iran. The crash out can be seen in many different ways. Shout out to Mel who tweeted this. He has lost his goddamn mind. Here's Donald Trump. Now, these are images from Truth Social that people have been sharing. Donald Trump tweeted unconditional surrender. Okay? Or posted on Truth Social. Here's another one. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So he said that first, and then here he said unconditional surrender. Crashing out in real time. And what you are going to see is that one of the people that he has decided to crash out against is Tucker Carlson, somebody who has unconditionally supported Donald Trump all the way. And now Trump has some things to say about him. Now check this out. Shout out to James Lee for sharing this. The irony here is if Iran actually pursued developing nuclear weapons instead of diplomacy in the past, none of this would be happening. It's true. This is what Trump says here. Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. So that was on the 16th. Like, he was just losing it, right? Basically telling people, if you're there, you need to get out because we're about to strike. That's basically what he was trying to say. And so many people have been coming out against him. Now, let me show you what Tucker Carlson said. And this is why I believe he's mad at Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was in this conversation here with Steve Bannon. Listen.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shores of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
look. I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush personally. I still see Bush sometimes, and of course he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq, and that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But domestically, right, to improve the country.
Right.
Then you may agree or disagree, but like in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of.
Oh no, he was going to redo Social Security.
100%,
all types, and he was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success. Though we don't even have a good track record. Like, why are the Houthis still there? I mean, so that's a whole other question, right, which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
Okay, so that's Tucker Carlson there with Steve Bannon saying that the U.S. would not be able to, basically like, no, we would not be able to beat Iran. Like, a war with Iran is not just a war with Iran. A war with Iran is a war with also Ansar Allah, possibly Russia. We don't know. We don't know. But it's not just them, right? Possibly Hezbollah. We don't know. Iran is huge. And they haven't even used, when I talked to Professor Morandi, the weapons that you've seen Iran using, those are the old generation weapons. Those aren't even the new ones. And you see how much damage those have been able to do. So Tucker Carlson does not think that Americans should be involved with this. And by the way, Tucker, to answer your question, why are the Houthis still there? They're still there because, again, that is part of the resistance there in Yemen. Had the U.S. government not given those weapons to Saudi Arabia and allowed, you want to talk about a humanitarian crisis? Look at pictures of Yemen. You probably don't get a Houthis with that. Now, that was one part that he said. He also went on to call out Fox News. He called out Mark Levin, who Mark Levin is very much pro-Israel. He's called out Mark Levin, and then he goes on to call Fox News propaganda.
Well, Levin's the funniest because he's terrible on TV. And again, I never had any problems with him at Fox. He kind of controls Hannity in this weird way. I never understood what that was about. I never really cared to learn. Sean was great to me, always nice, and so was Levin. So I just kind of stayed away. But they didn't want to put him on TV because he's like screechy and he's just not a coming president. Not coming on TV! Like, unless you're literally floating in and out of consciousness and the attendant has taken the remote to go have a cigarette, you're gonna flip the channel when it's on TV. It's like listening to your ex-wife scream about alimony payments. It's like not appealing. So they wouldn't put him on TV. And then, Sean pushed him. They gave me some kind of weekend show that nobody watched. Now I don't have a TV, but someone was just who owns a TV was just telling me that he's like all over printer. So what is that? That's not by popular acclaim. That's not like their viewer surveys. Like, we need a lot more Mark Levin. Less Jesse Waters, more Mark Levin. Mark Levin! What they're doing is what they always do, which is just turning up the propaganda hose to full blast and just trying to, knock elderly Fox viewers off their feet and make them submit.
This is
So there's Tucker Carlson calling out Fox News, basically saying that Fox News is pushing propaganda. And to that, I asked Tucker Carlson, were you a part of that propaganda as well? Because you worked at Fox News all those years. So there is something is happening there within MAGA. We are starting to see that split. Now, Donald Trump had a response to Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson wasn't even cruel in his response, but Donald Trump is going to be cruel in his. Donald Trump takes aim at Tucker Carlson. Check this out.
Tucker Carlson criticized you. You're saying that you're complicit in the war.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
I feel like you told me it was a you before your bylaws.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Japan?
A lot of them. Yeah.
What happened? Tucker Carlson.
Donald Trump said that Tucker Carlson needs to go get a television network so people can actually listen to what he's saying. That was kind of low. And again, because Tucker Carlson doesn't want Americans to go to war with Iran. And what's crazy is that some people are pretending like, oh, how dare he? That's a ridiculous claim. No, it's not a ridiculous claim. People are tired of the wars. Now, Donald Trump ran on being anti-war, and some of us third-party voters tried to warn people that both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were both pro-war. Now, with Kamala Harris, she made it pretty clear to people, we'll show you a little bit later, she made it pretty clear to people when she said that she would not withhold weapons from Israel. She also had no problem, if need be, going to war with Iran. You'll see that a little bit later. But then also, Donald Trump was already president. You had him as president in 2016. And people said, well, he didn't start any new wars. He didn't start no new wars. He didn't stop the ones that was going either. Bomb in Syria. Don't forget Donald Trump with the drones in Somalia. So I don't know why people thought that. I really don't. But I think that people are starting to see things for what they are. And that includes Candace Owens said, Trump is now mocking Tucker for not being on TV. I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him get a television network and say it so that people listen. Completely out of touch and ironic, given the fact that podcasters won Donald Trump the election. She goes on to say here, Donald Trump just completely fractured his base, and he did it for the very neocons who minted the hashtag Never Trump movement. Truly unbelievable. She's referring to this comment here. Somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So you see how Donald Trump, all these people that kind of stuck their neck out or really supported and advocated for Donald Trump, you see how he's treating them? You see how he's responding to them? He don't give a damn. He already in now. And then there's the whole part about holding him accountable. I mean, how much can you actually do? Because legally he can't run again for another term. He's talked about it, but legally he can't. Ladies and gentlemen, there was one anti-war candidate in the 2024 presidential election that had a majority ballot access, and that was Jill Stein. Not Donald Trump. Not Kamala Harris. Let's go to part 2 of Type B and C. This is the point that we were trying to get across to everybody at that point in time, is that no, don't fall for it, don't believe it. When people are running, they'll tell you anything. But we had already seen how Donald Trump was as a leader. We had already seen, yeah, he didn't start new wars, but so the evidence was already there.
Bro, let me tell y'all something that's gonna really make you mad. So you see this airplane right here? This airplane was used to fly to Greece. And guess who was on the airplane? Well, you guessed right, it was Benny. Benny was on the airplane. And guess where the airplane was going, y'all? It was going to Greece. It went from Tel Aviv, which reminds me, wasn't there 100 missiles sent to Tel Aviv out of retaliation for the strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities? That's interesting. But anyway, this is the flight pattern. It went from Tel Aviv to Greece. So let me get straight. You make all the calls, and you cause all the destruction, and you're the voice behind it all. You're the man who's making all the rules, but then you run to another country, leaving your innocent civilians behind? That's so interesting to me that these world leaders, they plan everything, they start everything, they do all these different things, but then they leave their citizens out to dry. They have these underground bunkers, these doomsday planes, all these different things, and they run, but they leave the civilians to... That is so interesting to me. For the life of me, I just can't understand it. Why don't all of the world leaders get together and have a Royal Rumble? And then whoever wins, take over the world. Like, what are we doing, bro?